Good day. Thank you for joining us again today. Demonstration today is going to be flowers. It's peachy kind of colored roses, and we are going to do it partly with brush, maybe for a start, and then with a palette knife, and make it look impasto, at least certain areas of the canvas. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to try and explain everything as I go along. Thank you very much. Okay, choosing a palette knife is quite important. That one has got this, a fair bit of spring on it. This one got more spring on it. This one's harder, this one's softer. It emulates the action of or the feel of a brush. You can see there. And you always use it with the flat side away from you, and never turn it around and work like that, because it will eventually bend and then you can chuck it away. It won't do what you want it to do. Okay, so I'm going to block in, I've pre-mixed some color here, and I'm just going to block in first the roses, the lightest part, and then work the foliage around that. And then I'll first block it in with a brush, and then I'll take over with a palette knife. So here we go. The medium I'm using is a liquid, and a thing called Paint Butter Medium is a specific brand, and I think it's only people that make this kind of thing, and it is really a lovely medium for impasto, and to work with a palette knife. It's really like soft butter, and not too hard. So here we go. I will block in first the flowers, and I will block them in much darker or deeper than the color is on my reference, but the reason being that I will later on put thicker paint. Now I decide where the flower is going to be, the one flower. This is the main flower. That is the side one. And this is the main flower. It's got the shape of a rose. Maybe I started that a bit low, so I'll shorten my pot and build up the flowers going high. This one get the characteristics of the rose. They've all got character. Flowers got their own character, and so have trees. And I've got 5 flowers here. Actually, there's 6 in the arrangement, but I'm going to The one is hidden away behind the foliage. So and then there's this one here. This is a larger flower, but I don't want to make it quite that large. And I'm seeing that from the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there I've got the flowers blocked in. I will now, using Van Dyke brown and yellow, that's going to give me a nice natural green. And I will also use raw umber and yellow, and if necessary a touch of green to that. The leaves also have a specific shape for different flowers. Okay, now I can see one sticking out here. That is a rose leaf. And then in between here, I will frame my flowers so that I can make them stand out. And I can just carry on with this. Put here and there the shape to repeat the shapes, and that will go even darker later, and I can try and balance the composition so that I've got, that's a bit more brown. It will help me to vary the color. I'm going to put just to fill the canvas. Okay, I feel that I should have more here. I can let it go, touch the side of the canvas. This spot is mostly hidden by the roses and the flowers, but I've got to try and get the proportions to such an extent that the roses won't look too heavy for the pot. I'm going to use some raw umber here now, and the pot starts there, and I must never have the pot dead center. I'm looking down, so the bottom of the pot, this is a round pot, will be a curve to the bottom. If I'd been looking up, it would go this way. All right, so now to cover the canvas, I will add a bit of, just to give me a bit of a contrast to the warm colors that I've been using so far. I will use some cobalt blue, take a bigger brush and mix it with some tips and liquid, a little bit of burnt umber, I don't want the background quite as dark as the foliage. And not lighter than the roses, of course. It's a bit light, with a little bit more substance. The light's coming from the left, so I want to have my highlights, which will be on the left. I want to make sure that I'll get a little bit of a stronger counter change or contrast. And I can go even a bit darker to the top. This will also have a lot of texture and everything. I can work with a brush. Once I've got it there, I'm going to just mix the colors thicker, and then on this side the flowers the foliage is throwing shadow. There's the lights coming from the left. So it's also slightly darker. I can fill in there. Cover your canvas as quick as you can. I can also make the background a bit darker. So, okay, that's my underpainting. I've already mixed some of the variation of the color of the roses, and now that I've locked in the background and some of the foliage, I can see a bit better how dark it should be, so I can adjust it now. You can see how the flowers are coming out. standing out. I don't often like to use small brushes, but I want to get the composition more or less nicely balanced here, so that I can go nuts with the palette knife. The center of the roses and towards the right there will be some darker spots. I will use a little bit of raw umber and orange with a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow. And there I'm beginning to get the look on the inside of the flowers. Do it a bit darker towards the center of the flowers and deeper. That's a bit too dark, I think. So let's have some fun. My pot ended up left of center, so I'm not going to bother about that. Now I've already mixed a whole lot of different yellows and oranges and peach and that kind of thing. So I'm going to put the more yellow next, and I see I've got one here. The knife you should never put too much pressure. That's why it's important to get one with enough spring. It's important never to push the palette knife too hard on the canvas, because I won't get the desired effect. This is a very quiet session. I'm not talking too much, but I'm trying to concentrate just to get everything, all the different colors in place where they should be. For the next, put in some of the foliage. Use a bit more liquid. The leaves themselves are very much darker than the roses, and that I use to help me you do of course get different shapes and sizes of the palette knife, so you can experiment. This, I don't know the exact number. I usually just walk in and take without looking at numbers. So I wouldn't know. Yeah, I here and there press a little bit harder. It's got to be darker now, and then put in the lighter paint. Highlights and things like that, and more impasto, and use a knife in such a way that it can give me the same effect as maybe a brush or directions, which direction the flower goes and the foliage. I think it's getting there. Can draw some fine lines with a palette knife. And I can even add a bit of that blue. So the press too hard there, so it didn't leave a nice mark. Okay, I adjusted the pot a little bit to the right so that I feel more comfortable with the composition. Not perfect. Now I'm using some of the colors. I used a bit of the blue and the raw umber to mix the background color, which is like sort of going to be like a mid-tone. And now I'll match it here. The knife is sliding nice because I'm not pressing too hard. And one-time strokes, very important. If you make one mark and don't go over it really another time. I made it a little bit warmer, this, because I added a bit of raw umber and made it a bit lighter. I'm going to need some more white here. The raw umber is almost a neutral color, but it can sometimes have a hint of blue in it, all depending which color you're putting it next to. It can also simulate sky blue, which we'll demonstrate in another video. Okay, it's best to use an easel which doesn't have a broad lip here, because then you can't get to the bottom of the canvas. So I'll just put it like that for now, and I'll put it back now. It's going to be slightly deeper and warmer now, because I added Van Dyke brown just for variation here, so that it doesn't look all flat. I will add a bit of blue to my palette, because sometimes it's best to make sure you put enough color on your palette so that you don't have to keep adjusting. The problem, of course, is that everything's quite costly nowadays, and it's not a good idea to waste paint. But then again, it can be very frustrating to keep opening and adding here and there. Put a mark for variation and make it look alive. More blue. This is the shadow side of the canvas, really. So I can make it a bit darker there. A bit neutral. keep it interesting. Added just a touch of light yellow here. And then I will put even more of the light yellow that I mixed and go and put it here on the table. Gets darker as it goes to the right. I can vary the warmth and the coolness of the colors so that it doesn't die on me. I want the colors to stay more or less alive, and with the variation I can do that. Okay, now I'm going to work a bit more on the roses and give more attention to the highlights and detail. The paint is getting thicker and thicker now, and I'm beginning to put some highlights just to guide me. I still got some mid-tones to fill in. And it's almost like molding this. I've got very little painting medium mixed with this. Almost as the paint comes out of the tube, it's more oily. The bottom ones have got more liquid in, so that will dry the quickest, and that's what I want. Okay, that was the lightest flower really. I can take the brush again and yellow ochre and brilliant orange. I now touch up. And the brush is making more texture where it digs into the thick white or lighter paint. Some yellow ochre. The touch of orange. Tweaks and corrections we can do with a finger. Working all the time from dark to light now, putting some highlights on, get the flowers looking a little bit natural, and never use pure white. Always mix it, tone or tint. Now I'm going to work on the foliage again. Used up all the dark brown. So I just take some out quickly. Make this look more natural. Just a splash of foliage here and there. The one thing about painting with a palette knife is that one can get carried away and easily overwork the picture, which I'm in danger of doing at the moment. So I'm just going to some foliage highlights, and then on the pot. For the foliage highlights, I'll just use some Van Dyke brown, yellow and blue. Going to get a bit of a warm and add a bit more blue and make it colder. Just got to adjust here and there. Can let this picture dry and touch it up. If I need be, add a little thing here and there. Let it just dry properly. Make sure the whole canvas is covered. Keep losing my curve at the bottom here. So just got to make sure that that is well defined, otherwise it won't look right. And there you go. I think for now that's enough. Heavy impasto flowers. If I want to, I can here and there just make a finger mark or soften something. If you want to, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.